Yeah, I will believe.
Thank you all for joining this Gita session and for your self-introduction. Welcome to this session. Let's now hear from Suman Gupta, who completed Gita session in the earlier group. Suman was a statistics professor from Northern Illinois University. And in a institutional research, she was a data specialist and also was teaching statistics to undergraduate students. Now let's welcome Suman Gupta.
Thank you, Vijaya. I am Suman. I live in Boston. And I met Vijaya about 4 years ago. And I know that she has spiritual journey for more than 20 years by now. And I did take a few classes with her. What I found, she's very knowledgeable and explains all the different concepts in very easy language so that we can understand. And moreover, she was very patient in answering all the questions we all had. And I learned a lot from this Gita class. Some of the main things, what I learned, it's like we can say Gita is a manual for life. And there is a dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna, like we all go through different emotions and different situations. So Arjuna goes through different situations and different emotions the way we all do in our day-to-day life. And Lord Krishna himself, he tries to guide him through all those different situations. So in a way, kind of, it is a different way of thinking or different thought process we get through this Gita. So some of the main things what I learned, it was like you give your best and don't worry about the result. And another thing was like we all have potential to do anything we want to do. Trust yourself. And another big thing I learned that means have control on your desires and emotions. So don't just be carried away with any ups and downs. Try to keep the mental balance in all the situations. If something is very good today, no need to be very happy and lose your balance that way up high. And if something is not that good in your favor, no need to be just going down that way either. So try to keep your mental balance at the same level. And another thing which I learned, that have control on your anger. When we are angry, then we cannot think right way. It clouds our intellect and our memories, and we cannot make the right decisions. And there are so many other things to learn, but to use them in our day-to-day life, to have that meaningful use of these ideas, or bring these in our practical day-to-day life, it's a lot of work. And there is a lot to learn. Means I can go over Gita over and over again. Every time I will have a few more things to work on. There's a lot to work on. Thank you very much for having this class, and I'm looking forward to this session also. Thank you. With these words, I will give it back to you, Vijaya. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Suman. Appreciate your feedback. Now we go to the next one, who is Sue Barrett. She is from Virginia. She also completed Gita studies in 21-22 group. She ran clinical research trials with Pfizer. Let's hear from Sue's experience.
Hi, I'm Sue Barrett, and I'm from Richmond, Virginia. Pardon my voice, I have allergies. I started my journey about 3 years ago with VJ when she was living in Virginia, and met her through a mutual friend. And she gave a little talk on Hinduism. And it sort of piqued my interest. And so when she said that she was going to do a class on the Atma Bodha, I decided that I would join up for that. So we did this wonderful class where we all got together, and I can't remember, we went through the whole Atma Bodha, and it was wonderful. But I struggled with grasping some of the concepts. So the following year, I think it was the following year, VJ did a Zoom Atma Bodha. And so I figured I should do that and sort of, maybe I'd have a better grasp on this. So I did. And so we went through that, and I was really into, what these teachings. And when VJ announced that she was going to do a Bhagavad Gita, I was intrigued because I had bought the book in a used bookstore many years ago, and I looked at it and I just thought, oh, when I bought it, this is like, I don't understand this. It's just gobbledygook to me. So I thought, well, this is wonderful. VJ is going to, because she's such a wonderful teacher. And so we started on that, and VJ is so patient and good about breaking down all these writings and making them understandable and easy to understand. And you get to see the wisdom that is in this book. What I've learned from studying the Bhagavad Gita is the similarities to all the religions and beliefs. And I believe that these writings help to make me a better person. VJ is not, this is a trite saying, but it's a true saying, that VJ not only talks the talk, but she walks the walk. And it's evident in all her actions. And having known her for 3 years, I can attest to this. And I think this is very important work that VJ does, because with all the awful things that are going on in this country, in the world, the message of the Bhagavad Gita will help to make it spread the word and change lives, because there is this, I can't put it in words, but it is important. It is important that this gets out there and that people get to understand this. So thank you.
Thank you, Suman. Thank you very much, both of you. Now let's start our class today. We'll start with invocation. Sadashiva Samarambam Sankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parambaram. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. This is the invocation, that is salutation to the lineage, starting from Lord Sadashiva, whose avatar is Dakshinamurti, and in the middle Adi Shankara, and all the teachers, all the gurus until today. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, that means Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu and Shiva, generator, operator, dissolver. God, God is an acronym. We are now praying our salutations to the Nirguna Brahma and his avatar. All avatars are Saguna Brahman, Brahma, Vishnu, Shivan. With their blessings, with their supports, with their guidance, we are going to start this Bhagavad Gita class. Now, let's go to introduction to Mahabharata. At what context did Krishna advise Arjuna? This Gita came about. Srimad Bhagavad Gita is a beautiful text, beautiful philosophy, essence of scripture. The wisdom given in Bhagavad Gita is fulfilling giving fruit, giving purity in heart, sublime oneness and efficiency in day-to-day performances. Because everyone's life is so full of struggles, strides, and obstacles, it is a philosophy that teaches us how to face this battle of life. Gita is painted on the canvas of Mahabharata. Gita teaches us the techniques which we all can follow on a daily basis, day-to-day basis. Gita has 700 verses, and we will cover specific ones. It is from the Mahabharata, which has got 18 parvas, that is 18 sections. And Gita is the sixth parva, with the chapters from 25 to 42. Gita means song. There are several Gita. Ashtavakra Gita, Avadhuta Gita, Hamsa Gita, Ganesha Gita, Rishabha Gita. But we are working or studying Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna as an avatar, the Nirguna Brahma as an avatar of Krishna, comes and talks to or guides the people, the humanity. Mahabharata is a history. Iti ha hasa. It definitely happened. There are two itihasas. One is Ramayana, another one is Mahabharata. Ayana means the path of life. Rama was the epitome of human life, how to live. Mahabharata came later. It is also history. It was written by Veda Vyasa. Vyasa is the title. His original name is Krishna Dvaipayana. The first original name of Mahabharata was Jayaha, meaning victory. Righteousness alone will win. Truth alone triumphs. Even if unrighteousness is at its height, righteousness alone will win. Then later, because there was a king called Bharata in India, it changed into Mahabharata. The name Jayaha has been changed into Mahabharata. There's also a place called Kurukshetra, is the location even today. Kurukshetra, Dharma Kshetra, where Dharma alone supersedes. So both Mahabharata was written by Veda Vyasa and Ramayana was written by Valmiki. Both have extracted the gist of Vedas and created in the form of stories. Both both scriptures depict Vedas in the form of stories, because stories are easy to understand, to grasp. Now, both actually happened. There are 18 Puranas, moral stories, fable, parables. We can call it Purana. Pura api nava. That is ancient yet new. It is applicable to anyone, anywhere in the universe at any time. So that is Puranas. Now, this will never go away. This will always be with us as long as humans exist, because they show us how to live and what is the purpose of human life. Because they also explain the ultimate reality, the purpose, the meaningful purpose, the end of the destination of a human person or body. Mahabharata is gist of Vedas. Therefore, it is also called as Panchamo Vedaha. Now, Mahabharata and Ramayana, they are called Smritis. Smriti means Maranam in Sanskrit, means recall. These two histories were recalled and written. Vedas are referred as Shruti, S-R-U-T-I, not written by a human being, any individual. It is that which is heard, that which is listened to. These were intuitively received by the ancient sages of India. Those rishis are referred to as mantra drishta. Vedas are apurushayam. Purusha means a human being. It's not given by any human being. That is why it is apurushayam. Vedas teaches us the path of righteousness and the ultimate knowledge of the humanity. Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, these three are called Prasthanatriyam. These are original. Upanishad is the main one that is received intuitively. Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Sri Krishna to humanity, and then Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra are quotes, like chains. So different words are interconnected. That way, the words do not lose their meanings. Because languages changes often. In Mahabharata, Krishna avatar only Krishna avatar is called as Purna avatar. Because only in this avatar, even though he had taken multiple avatars before, only in this avatar, he guides humanity. He teaches. Ava means coming down. Avatar means coming down exactly as a copy. Now, Krishna, Allah, Jesus, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Buddha, Ramana, all are realized ones. Incarnation is realized once when they choose to come down to sustain, to keep up the Dharma. It is called incarnation. Jivas who have not realized, they come back again and again. That is called reincarnation. So Vedas teach the path of righteousness and self-knowledge to humanity. Animals do not need this. They live, eat, and procreate. They live on instincts by innate nature, but humans live on intuition. Only a human can be an animal, a human, or an angel, a divine. We humans have the power to choose. We are the product of our choices. A human alone can be grateful, vengeful, or forgiving. Vedas help such a human to rise above beyond his human tendencies. Only righteousness alone leads us, gives us, that's because of that righteousness or dharmic living, we are living in a community. Animals do not need a community. Superficially, the Mahabharata story may appear as a family feud, but Vyasa wrote to teach the subtlety of righteousness through various characters. There was one called Ekalaiva who represents the Guru Bhakti, Karna who represents Dharma. Dharma in the sense here it is charity. There is a difference between donation and charity. Donation is somebody is asking and your giving is donation. Charity is you are identifying their need and then giving the support. That is charity. So righteousness being compromised due to attachment is one character, which is Dhritarashtra, the king of Hastinapur. Now, what are the benefits of righteousness or following the path of righteousness? In today's society, many think that being righteous, truthful, honesty won't help. We need to play the game. But we get something called punya. There is no Sanskrit word for punya, but it is called adrishta. Drishta means visible, adrishta is invisible. So there is an invisible merit that you get when we are living in dharmic life, righteous life. Now, for example, let me give you an example. Why do we earn money? We earn thousands of dollars every day, every year, right? And then after 25, 30 years, do we have 3-4 cupboards full of cash? No. We spend it all to get something that we can derive some pleasure out of that cash. So it is not for the cash, it is not for the money that we do, but it is for something that we get. We are looking for something that gives us happiness. Just like that, just like how the cash helps us to acquire things to make us happy, so also the dharmic living, being righteous, gives us or provides us with everything that we need. Scripture says first we get the human body. Next, a healthy body and all the necessities for this body, including parents, children, partner, all the things that we need for the body. It's all because of dharmic living. Or else we could have been an animal body. It is not the luck. We create our own destiny. We create a blueprint. Just like we go for shower, we have everything ready. When immediately after the shower, we have the clothes. So also, we create our destiny for the next life. Righteous living is not just for this benefit. The most important benefit is to be able to choose the goal of human existence. We have a human body. What is the purpose of this life? That decision is because of righteous living. To attain something that is supreme, that is higher, that is referred as Icha Shakti, the desire, the power to desire, something that is higher. For example, take a toddler, 3-4 years. You give a balloon and $100 bill. A toddler, what will the toddler choose? The balloon. The toddler doesn't know that with $100 he can buy hundreds of balloons. So also to desire the perishable things, one doesn't need any power. You leave the mind as is, it will go everywhere and get everything for pleasure. That is why businesses call us nowadays, they used to call us customers, now they call us consumers, because we keep consuming more and more and more. Even to desire to attain that ever-present permanence instead of this impermanent, ephemeral existence, righteousness path alone can take one to that path. I need to know that permanent existence. I want to study Bhagavad Gita. That is superior wishes than any other wish. You could be, right now you could all be doing something else. You could be watching TV, you could be gone for a walk or whatever it is. But you have taken this commitment to attend this session of Bhagavad Gita. That is because of righteous living. Now let's go into the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 1, verse 1 to 27 is a story of all kinds of people. The good, bad, and ugly are depicted in Mahabharata. As an introduction to Gita, we will now see the background of Gita. What is the story behind the context in which Krishna advised Arjuna. Mahabharata is an epic with 100,000 verses. Mahabharata encompasses all secular knowledge. It depicts the day-to-day reality. Now let me show you a slide and then we'll come back. This is good to know the story behind it. Let me share the screen. This is Shanti mantra that we chanted. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Ashmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parambam. Salutation to the lineage starting with Lord Sadashiva. Sadashiva is the supreme Nirguna Brahman. His avatar is Dakshinamurti. And in the middle is Shankara, and continuing up to the recent teacher. Now, if you wonder his right hand, you'll see like this. This is called Chin Mudra. So Chin Mudra means this is your index finger is Atman, your thumb is the Brahman. Atman and Brahman are one and the same. I am not this body, mind, or intellect. That's what it means philosophically. Now, if you wonder what he has under his right foot, that is the ignorance. That is not knowing who am I. He had 4 students, and they were called as Sanat Kumara, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara. Then Brahma, Vishnu, Shivan, Trinity we call it, right? So the Guru is Brahma, Guru is Vishnu, Guru is Maheshwara, the Guru is self-revealing, limitless Brahman. Salutation. All religions pray to that God, one God, Nirmana, but not knowing who that God is. Veda Vyasa. Vyasa is a title. There are many Vyasas. This particular Vyasa's name was Krishna Dvaipayana. He taught the Vedas to his son Sukar. Sukar taught to Gaudapadacharya. Gaudapadacharya taught to Govinda Bhagavatpada, who was Adi Shankara's guru. And Adi Shankara had 4 disciples, Padmapada, Sureshwara, Thodakacharya, and Hastamalaka. Now we are introducing Mahabharata story. Before that, the Vedic times. Currently, we are in Kali Yuga, which is 432,000 years. Double of that was Dwapara Yuga. Triple of that was Treta Yuga. 4 times was Satya Yuga. And Bhagavad Gita happened in Dwapara Yuga. And Ramayana happened in Treta Yuga. This is just for information. Now, Vedas were narrated by Vyasa, and Ganesha wrote them. So Vyasa, Ganesha said to Vyasa, whenever you stop saying the story, I will stop writing. I will not continue. And Vyasa responded, said, you can write only when you understand it. Otherwise, you cannot write. So that was one thing that I read. And Ganesha, he pulled out one of his tusks. So he's also referred to as Ekadanta, and then started writing. Those days, they didn't have any writing material, right? Now, this is just a different ages: golden age, silver age, bronze age, iron age. Now, iron age is 432,000 years. That is where we are right now. And then the virtues reigned 100% in golden age. In silver age, it was 3/4 virtue, 1/4 sin. In bronze age, it was 50-50, 1/2 virtue, 1/2 sin. In Kali Yuga, 1/4 is virtue and 3/4 is sin. And the human stature height was 31.5 feet here, 21 feet, 10.5 feet, and it is 5.5 feet. Here, the human lifespan was 100,000 years, and death occurred only when they willed. Lifespan is only 10,000 years in silver age, 1,000 years in bronze age, and 100 to 120 years in Kali Yuga. This is just information. Now, this is a story that we are going to know. Hastinapur is in the northern part of India. King Shantanu was there, and he married Ganga. They had one son. For another story, Ganga had, because of her own karma, she had to separate from King Shantanu when he was 18 years old. And once Ganga was gone, King Shantanu was very depressed, missing her. And one day he went to near the ocean, and he happened to meet a fisherwoman whom he fell in love. And he went and talked to her father and asking for her in marriage. And the father said, you have a grown-up son, and the kingdom is going to go to him. And my daughter and her children are going to be only as subordinates or maid. So Devavratan immediately took an oath that I will only protect the kingdom, I will not inherit the kingdom. He took a vow and then told his dad about that. And dad said, well, you may not want the kingdom, but your children might. Then he took another vow that I will never marry, which is very hard. And once he took those two vows, he walked the talk, and then he came, brought Satyavati and her married, and King Shantanu married Satyavati. They had two children, Chitrangadan and Vichitraviryan. Chitrangadan died in a battle, and Vichitraviryan was ready to be crowned. And when they were toddlers, King Shantanu passed away. And Bhishma guided the boys. Those days, women used to select their own partners. It is called Swayamvara. So Bhishma won Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika of daughters of Kashya, king of Kashi, for Vichitraviryan. But on the way, Amba said, I am interested in Salva. I am not coming with you. And she left. And he brought home Ambika and Ambalika. Vichitraviryan married those two. And Haimadri is assistant to Ambalika. So he had 3 children. Dhritarashtra, who was born blind, and Pandu with Ambalika, and Vidura from Haimadri. Dhritarashtra, when he grew up, and then these three, Dhritarashtra grew up, he married Gandhari and Sugandha. Pandu married Kunti and Madri. And Vidura married Shulabha. And he was the chief advisor for King Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra and Gandhari had 100 boys and 1 girl. And King Dhritarashtra and Sugandha had one son, Yuyutsu. This one is the first son is Duryodana, Dushadana, and then Duschala is the daughter. Pandu married Kunti, and Kunti had Yudhishthira, Arjuna, and Bhima. Madri had Nagula and Sakadeva. So these are 5 boys, and these are 100 boys. Now Kunti's brother, Vasudeva, his son is Krishna. So Krishna and Arjuna are cousins. What happened was, this Duryodhana was very jealous of these boys because they were always very proud. They proved that they were always better than him in every aspect. So he was very jealous, and he would not give any kingdom to him, to these cousins. So the war, these boys are called the Kauravas, and these are called Pandavas. The war started. It was a war between Dharma and Adharma, righteousness and unrighteousness, right versus wrong. This is the king of Kuru dynasty. This was all these kingdoms were under that Hastinapur. Even today, there is Kurukshetra, where the war was fought, and one of my cousins actually visited last year. So it was a war between 5 versus 100. Let me come back to that later. So that's what happened. And the Pandavas were 5 sons. The first one is Yudhishthira. He was a righteous person. Arjuna was a great archer. Bhima was a great wrestler. Drona was the teacher. Drona Acharya was the teacher for 105 boys. Bhishma taught them life skills and moral values. Duryodana was very jealous of Pandavas, and they were proving better. And he knew Yudhishthira would become the king because he was the oldest one. Yudhishthira represented righteousness. Duryodana represented unrighteousness. It was the war between right and wrong. Duryodhana tried to kill Pandavas in many occasions. Once he tried to poison Bhishma. Pandava's first son was declared to be the crowned king. Mahabharata brings out the characters of Dharma. Dharma includes our duties, rules, and context of a nation. Goodness, Dharma is a powerful term. Duryodhana was planning to remove Pandavas from the kingdom by several ways. He once built a wax house and sent to the Pandavas and their mother. And then he had planned to burn it down at night. But Vidura, the chief advisor, helped them, and everyone, they escaped. They were out for 12 years. During that time, they learned many skills and made many allies. After that, they came back to Hastinapur and asked for the kingdom. The Guru, Kripacharya, Dronacharya, grandfather, Bhishma, father Dhritarashtra, everyone tried to convince Duryodhana, but he would not budge. Krishna went as an ambassador and tried to negotiate. He used the 4 process of laws in any conflict. That is Samadana, Veda, Danda in Sanskrit. That is diplomacy, sacrifice, division, and punishment. First, you try to be diplomatic in conversation so that there's an open conversation and for mutual benefit. Then you try to give gifts, appreciation, recognitions, and try to get that person understand, that party or person understand that. The third one is divide. If you have people who are supporting you in the wrong direction, try to divide them. If nothing works, then finally punishment. So total unrighteousness, adharma. So when that happened, Pandavas, actually Krishna asked for 5 kingdoms. 5 kingdoms, or if not 5 villages or 5 houses, and Duryodhana would not give anything. That was total unrighteousness. Pandavas decided to fight for righteousness, or else we are encouraging unrighteousness. Stand up for what is right, even if you're standing alone. This is a quote from Suzi Qasim, an Egyptian writer and philosopher. I also read it as Helen Keller saying it. So remain firm and fight the unrighteousness. Active resistance to evil, not tolerating evil. Just like white blood cells comes up, takes immediate action when against the bacteria in the body. A war became imminent and both got their allies. Both Duryodana, Kauravas and Pandavas, Arjuna, approached Krishna and got their battalions. So what happened was there are 11 battalions. We will see that in the PowerPoint presentation. Kauravas were very weak among themselves. Each one had their personal agenda, motive. Bhishma said, I need to protect the kingdom no matter what. Drona said, I will fight, but I will not kill Pandavas. There was personal enmity prevailed within the group. So there was undercurrent animosity in Kauravas. Whereas on the contrary, Pandavas were very organized, united, and followed the path of Dharma, righteousness. They fought with enthusiasm and zeal and were very positive. In the end, Pandavas won the war. Yudhishthira ruled and later gave the kingdom to his grandson, Arjuna's grandson, Parikshit, which is the son of Abhimanyu. Now, this is Mahabharata story. Now we are going to chapter 1. Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the grief of Arjuna. Gita starts with Dharma in chapter 1, verse 1, and ends with Mama, my, chapter 18, verse 78. So it means my duty. The entire Gita is my duty. Verse 1, Dhritarashtra was a blind king. The war was about to begin. Sage Vyasa wanted to give the sight to Dhritarashtra because he was born blind, but he refused. He gave the sight, Vyasa gave sight to Sanjaya, who was his charioteer. Sanjaya means the one who has conquered the likes and dislikes. Unbiased, objective, not taking sides. It's called a helicopter view. If you're in a bus or a train, you can only see limited vision you have. Whereas if you're in a helicopter, you have the entire bigger picture. That's exactly what it is. But you have to see both sides of the coin before you make any decision. Unity among diversity. That is divine vision. One alone is. So Vyasa gave the sight to Sanjaya. Sanjaya could see what is happening in the war front, and he heard their conversation, and he was mentioning everything to King Dhritarashtra. That was the first TV in Dwapara Yuga. Both armies were ready on either side. Dhritarashtra asked a question to Sanjaya. That is only one time King Dhritarashtra speaks out, the very first one. And that depicts his selfishness, that question. The question was, what are our people and Pandavas doing now? That is chapter 1, verse 1. His question reflects his bias, selfishness, and interest towards his own side. That is favoritism. Other side is his own brother's children. Now, his first son, Duryodana, compares the armies on either side and speaks to his teacher, Drona, in a condescending way. His teacher, Drona, was a righteous person, kind, generous, and objective. But Duryodana, with his arrogant attitude, being insecure at that time, for he was very well aware that what he was doing was wrong, sees his teacher's kindness in a negative way. Now, verse 2 to 24 is all the description of all the kings, all the warriors in both sides of Pandavas and Kauravas, which we are not going to go in depth. Now, verse 21 to 27 was the story that we saw earlier. Arjuna commands. Now, in verse 22, Arjuna is the king, he's the prince, he's sitting there and he commands the charioteer Krishna to park the chariot in between two armies. It's like a CEO in the car telling the driver where to go. Now, verse 24 to 27, Arjuna sees the opponent party. And he came as to see those enemies, right? He asked Krishna to park his chariot right in the middle so that he could see the enemies. But he saw his grandfather and his teachers. Verse 28, Arjuna came to fight a war, fight the enemies, and is now caught by his emotion, attachment to his guru, Drona, and his grandfather, Bhishma. He is now engulfed in sorrow. He is deluded, not sure what to do. He is panicking. He experiences dry mouth, nervousness, anxiety, and agitation. This emphasizes that whatever needs to be done, you stay focused and get it done without any distractions. Arjuna is caught in attachment, sorrow, and delusion. Ragam, sokam, and moha. Attachment always precedes any sorrow. We want something or someone due to attachment. When we don't get it, there is a disappointment followed by sadness, leading to delusion to get it somehow. Now, verse 31 to 45, Arjuna defends himself, justifies his behavior, argues with Krishna by mentioning the consequences of war to humanity. Verse 31, he says, I am not interested in this war. I do not want to fight. I'm not interested in this victory or kingdom. This war is not a righteous act. He is in delusion. When delusion, what happens is the right appears to be wrong and the wrong appears to be right. They get interchanged. This delusion is because of the attachment. When one wants a power or position by hook or crook, they will try to attain by stepping on others' toes, or the boss taking credit of the employees. And we see such characters all around us. Whatever we do, we can do in two methods, with two factors. One, what is right and what is wrong, or one that I like to do and I don't like to do. What is right and what is wrong? My 2-year grandchild was throwing ball at home. I speak from my experiences. I often will share with that. So you can also look back at your life. He was throwing the ball and I asked him, what do you think will happen when you throw the ball inside the house? He said, it can hit you or it can hit the bulb and the bulb can break. You know what to do and what not to do. Then why do you do it? Another example, say you have a teenager at home, 16, 17 years. I tell my teenager, oh, my sister's children have come, can you take them to a movie? So he says, oh, fine, because he likes to watch movie, right? And with cousins, so they all go. But after 2 days, I asked him, can you take my dad to the doctor? He has an appointment. I have a conference call. I need to be really busy. I'm busy. He says, no, Dad, no, Mom, I have my homework to do. I have a lot of homework. So that's how we make decisions on our work. But it is the utmost duty of the warrior. Shastra emphasizes ahimsa, but at the same time encourages war here. Seems contradictory. There are people who argue that Gita is encouraging violence. But it is the utmost duty of a warrior to fight for the common good, to stand up against evil, especially a soldier, a warrior. Whenever a doubt arises between Samanya Dharma and Vishesha Dharma, that is one's duty versus one's special duty takes effect. Mahabharata verse Viduranidhi, I will show you in the slide, says that just like we quarantine some COVID patient at home for the benefit of the family, right? We amputate a toe or a foot for a diabetic patient to take care of the entire body. Arjuna's duty was to fight for righteousness. He did not come there to fight for selfish interest, but to maintain righteousness, fight against evil. We humans have the power to choose our actions. If you know what is your duty, and if you like it, there's no problem. Sometimes they do not match. Arjuna's fight was not for selfish interest to expand his kingdom. This was a war to fight against unrighteousness. Do your duty is the statement and not fight. Because he was a warrior, Krishna says, do your duty. So dharma, which is duty, is divided into two. So you can primary duty and special duty and Vishesha dharma. Swadharma, which is primary duty, does not change with space, time, or person. Do not lie, do not steal, do not abuse others, ahimsa, forgiveness, all these are primary ones. The same ahimsa, when it comes to Vishesha Dharma changes from person to person, from space to space, time to time. Ahimsa is, for a soldier, is a Vishesha Dharma. For a surgeon, he has to use the knife. So that is important. The surgeon cannot say, I'm not going to do the surgery because it is going to hurt you, right? So at that point, we have to identify. Arjuna is well aware of right and wrong, dharma and adharma. Before fighting outside, he had that inner conflict, and we all experience that. My duty is to fight, but how can I fight my own grandfather and teachers? A conflict between attachment and duty. This leads to sadness, sorrow. And we experience in our day-to-day life, in transactional reality. We see patient in the hospital last days, and we have to remove the ventilator. We have to remove the ventilator. That means there is a desire, there's an attachment. And how can I do that? Is it right? Should I do it? Should I not do it? Is it right thing? It's not the right thing. So attachment, desire starts first. And when that desire is not fulfilled, sorrow follows it. Ragam is likes and dislikes, is often followed by sadness. Arjuna is not afraid of them, but his mind is caught between attachment and duty. Now, what is delusion? See, this Ragam, Dvesham, that is likes and dislikes, is the first obstacle in performing our duty. The mind has likes and dislikes, sorrow, jealousy, fear, anger, worry, everything. That's all the emotions of the mind. But the intellect is the decision-making faculty. It analyzes a situation, compares, and then pros and cons, and then it makes the decision, what is right and what is wrong. That gets deluded. Arjuna, with all valor and strength, came to fight the enemies with full enthusiasm. Now starts arguing and justifying his hesitation to fight. He becomes defensive. For him, the right and wrong are interchanged due to attachment. We see that, when our neighbor's child comes and throws tantrums, we say the parents didn't raise them well. When our own child does it, we say, oh, he's after all a kid. After a few years, he'll get better. See how we make decisions? So the mind has desire and tries to convince the intellect. Desire deludes intellect. Nowadays, we have emotional intelligence class. The only enemy is the mind. Deludes the intellect. Now, verse 38 to 45, Krishna talks about the consequences of war. Arjuna talks about the consequences of war, and Krishna is just listening. Arjuna is saying families will be destroyed. The entire kingdom won't be in peace. All men will be killed, causing heavy loss to the family. The women and children will be left. The deceased will not be remembered because we do the annual rituals and the men are not there, then they don't do it in India. So it is not only those who are living, those who are also dead will also be affected because of this war. So I am not going to fight. He who came to fight very ferociously with full valor against Duryodana and Kaurava's atrocities towards Pandava now concludes, even if they kill me, I am prepared to die. I will not fight this war. and he sits down, dropping his powerful weapon, bow and arrow, which is called Khandibam, bow and arrow, and sits down. He's completely immersed in attachment, sorrow, and delusion, confused and panicked. This is the end of chapter 1, verse 46. Now we'll cover 10 verses from chapter 2. Chapter 2 is Sankhya Yoga, Introduction to Self-Atman. Sankhya means number. It also means inquiry, a logical philosophy. The truth is indicated here in a step-by-step way. Sankhya is theory, yoga is practice. Yoga is also means union, but not here. So theory and practice both are equally important. Chapter 2 has 72 verses. Specific ones we are going to deal with. Chapter 2 and chapter 18 are the longest introduction and conclusion. When we speak, say what you are going to say it, and summarize it. Say what you said. That is the process that Krishna did, and now we all do it in public speaking. So chapter 18 is the summary, chapter 2 is the introduction. Chapter 1 to 6 is Jiva Swarupam, individual. Chapter 7 to 12 is Ishvara Swarupam, the one supreme presence. Chapter 13 to 18 is Jiva Brahma Aikyam, that is Jiva and Brahman, Atman and Brahman are one and the same. Now, chapter 2, with his divine vision, Sanjaya is now describing to the blind king Dhritarashtra, verse 1 to 3. Arjuna's chariot is in the middle between the two armies. Arjuna is completely enveloped by his love for his attachment for his grandfather and teachers, standing in the middle. So he's just explaining the situation to Dhritarashtra. Verse 2 and 3, Krishna speaks to Arjuna as a friend, as a cousin. Why are you so depressed, Arjuna, at this time of crisis? Critical situation. Had you mentioned it earlier, we could have discussed it. Right now, both armies are ready to start the war. As a warrior, this behavior is not going to give you any honor. In verse 3, he uses a word, klaibyam. Klaibyam is neither do you behave like a man nor a woman. You know, everything that we see here today is all in Mahabharata. This is transgender, non-binary, LGBTQ. We talk about all this now, but they were always there. You are a warrior prince. Get up, get out of this situation, mental agitation, and get ready to fight. Krishna did not address or refer to anything that he said earlier in chapter 1. In verse 4 to 6, Arjuna speaks. He says, Bhishma and Drona, they raised me. They showed me their love. Drona taught me the archery. How can I aim that arrow at him again? He is my guru. Bhishma taught me morals and values. I have no problem killing enemies. But I see my teachers, my guru, my grandfather. Verse 5, it is better that I live. His ego dissolves. He now says, is it right to kill them? Verse 6, is it right to kill them? Should we kill them or should they kill us? Is it my duty to kill them? I don't understand. I'm confused. I don't know what to do. Verse 7 is very important. This is where Arjuna surrenders. I am your student. I am your disciple. You please guide me. What should I do? What is the right thing to do? I don't know what to do. What is right? What is wrong? This is humility every student should possess. I don't know. First, we need to identify, recognize, I don't know, and accept that. And only then we can ask for help. Only when we recognize that, we will pay full attention to what is being said. Humility alone can bring out a willingness to listen attentively, to single-pointed focus, full trust in a teacher. Arjuna says, I am prepared to follow your direction. You are my guide, friend. Tell me what I should do. Only when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Even amidst a noisy war front, commotion, chaos. Verse 8, Arjuna realizes that nothing that I possess can remove my sorrow that I experience now. As long as we consider that the worldly achievements, accomplishments, name, fame, power, position, people around are my security, so long we will chase them all. When we say I will be happy when I have this much of wealth, position, or power, our pursuit will be directed towards those. This statement should not be misconstrued. Scriptures does not say do not pursue them, but enjoy everything. Explore your full potential with a constant thought that nothing is permanent. And none of these would give me complete happiness. Anityam atriptikaram. The lesson is do not get elated, arrogant with pride, or be depressed. Nothing is permanent. Enjoy what you have when you have, for sooner or later it is not going to be yours. Oftentimes, humans do not know what we really want. We do not know what gives complete sustained happiness. That's why it is called rat race. You know, the rat goes back and forth. Now, verse 7 to 9 shows how a strong prince Arjuna is transforming to a common man, a disciple seeking for a divine guidance. Verse 10, Arjuna starts with a smile. Sometimes, our children would say, I will do it myself, I don't need your help. And then after 10, 15 minutes, they'll come back. Mom, Dad, can you help me? Because the ego will not allow to ask for help. Intellect always likes to be challenged. Now, verse 11, Bhagavad Gita starts here. Starts from verse 11, chapter 2. Chapter 2, 1 to 10 summary. Vedanta is the inquiry path of Supreme. It is the end portion of Veda. Veda Antaha Upanishads. Inquiry in the form of Guru Sishya Samvada. Samvada means open discussion. It is not that I tell you, you obey. Benefits of this story. This is a text that helps the seeker to know the Supreme. Some may think, why stories? I'm here in the path of self-inquiry. Let me go there straight. But the purpose of this story is bringing the disciple and the guru together. The context under which Gita was given. Some may ask, what were others doing while these two were talking? But Arjuna was standing in a no man's land, public thoroughfare. According to the law of war, one should not fight from that area. Lord Krishna verbalized it, and Vyasa wrote it in the form of verses. Second point is to understand the emotional mindset of the disciple before giving any advice. That is the lesson. Listen attentively, completely, no voluntary advice until asked for. We all can relate to Arjuna. Arjuna here represents the entire humanity. Some may question, why did Krishna instruct Arjuna and not anyone else? Simple, because he asked for it. Krishna would have given it to anyone who asked for self-knowledge. So the lesson again is jnanam, self-knowledge, is to be given only to those who ask for it. Knock and the door will be opened for you. He who seeks finds. Voluntary advice, suggestions won't work because the receiver is not inclined to listen, for there is no interest or readiness. Those who learn, they learn for their own benefit. Arjuna and Krishna were friends, they were cousins, but Krishna maintained that relationship until he was asked for. This story also refers to a kind of guru, what kind of guru a seeker should approach. Parampara guru should have studied the scriptures under a guru, whose guru was a disciple, 3-generational traditional guru, to avoid any personal opinions. Rather focused on the scriptures. It's referred to as Stotra Jnana. Stotra means that which is heard. Krishna as an avatar was in Gurukula. His teacher was Sandipani. Guru's life should depict what he teaches, not just a preacher. Brahmanishtan, Guru-Sishya relation. That the three benefits here he mentioned, Guru and Sishya, the Guru and disciples relations, disciples mindset, and what kind of Guru. The fourth benefit is Vedanta scriptures must be listened to and not read to understand. It's not wrong to read them, but won't understand anything that is the intended meaning. Not understanding is better than misunderstanding. Now the Guru needs to erase the old and replace it with new. When the student is blank, it is easier to convey. That's why those days we had Gurukula. The kids are like wet clay. So in early stages, we should be very careful what goes inside a child. That's the parent's responsibility, so also a Guru's responsibility. One who has no knowledge of scriptures is the ideal candidate, Uttama Adhikari, because it is difficult to erase the preconceived notions. To unlearn and relearn is a challenge. It's difficult. If you have been driving in the US, it's difficult to go and drive in India because skip to right and there it is skip to left, and vice versa. One can chant, read, but listening should be primary. Listen, grasp, understand, and then read. Chapter 2 is the gist of Gita. Chapter 2, verse 11 is gist of chapter 2. We will continue verse 11, starting from verse 11 in next meeting and complete chapter 2. Let me show you the screen further so we can end it after that. We saw this. This is the Vidura Nidhi that I was talking about. Renounce one person for the sake of family, a family for the sake of village, a village for the sake of country, and even the kingdom of earth for one's own sake. What does that mean? A deeper philosophical meaning is you sacrifice the world for self-realization. Who am I? Now here is the blind king Dhritarashtra and his wife Gandhari. She also covered her eyes because her husband could not enjoy anything. So she also said, I will sacrifice. That is very, very rare. Here Veda Vyasa is offering the vision to Sanjaya. And this is King Dhritarashtra, blind king. Sanjaya is describing what he saw, what he heard, and explaining it to Dhritarashtra. Chariot is parked right in the middle of the two battalions. This is Bhishma, grandfather. This is Dronacharya, who is teaching archery. And this is another one, Kripacharya, who is also family guru. Now, total battalions on both sides. Kauravas had 11 battalions. Pandavas had 7 battalions. Total of 18 Akshahunis. Each battalion had 20,000 elephant chariots, 65 horse carriers, and 100,000 foot soldiers. Mahabharata has 18 sections, Parva. Gita is the 6th Parva with 18 chapters. There were a total of 18 battalions. The war was fought for 18 days. And there are, of course, 18 Puranas. 18 is very important in Sanatana Dharma. More comes in the later. This is verse 1 to 2. They blow the conch. Bhishma's conch. Bhishma blows his conch and Krishna blows his conch. I forgot the name. Krishna's is Panchajanya and Bhishma's is, I don't remember right now. And then this is verse 15. This is chapter 1, verse 46. Arjuna is dejected and he does not want to fight against his family members, even though it is dharmic, even though it is the right thing to do. Chapter 2, verse 7, Arjuna surrenders to Sri Krishna. I am your disciple. Please guide me. Chapter 2 is Shatkatriya. That means every 6 chapters are grouped together under one topic. 1 to 6 talks about individuals, you and I, Tvam, Jiva. Chapter 7 to 12 talks about Ishvara Swarupam, one supreme presence that. Chapter 13 to 18 is Jiva Brahma Aikyam, that means the Atman and Brahman are one and the same. From the transactional point, we can see 1 to 6 is Karma Yoga, 7 to 12 is Bhakti Yoga, and 13 to 18 is Jnana Yoga. So starts next meeting, we start with next month, chapter 2, verse 11. With that, let me stop here, and then we can spend 5 minutes for questions or comments. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.